last video I did when I went over a little bit of stuff about the car beforehand, I said that I was going to do another video with all the mods that were on the car. I have this cheat sheet here because I can't remember everything off the top of my head, and I'll forget stuff if I do. So I wrote everything down that I know that's on the car or was told was on the car. What I'll do is I'll go around and show you the stuff that is visible that you can actually see. The other stuff, I'm just taking their word for it, and you'll just have to take my word for it that it was actually done. But knowing the history of the car from what I've been told from one of the previous owners, I have no doubt that this stuff was done. It's just a matter of, it's good that it's there because I probably wouldn't have done it myself anyway. So I figured what I'd do is I'll start from the very front of the car and work my way back to everything that's done on it. Starting out with the very front, you can see the heat exchanger has Cobra written on it. Usually you don't see that on factory intercoolers, and that one is pretty damn thick. When I went down to see the car, I put my hand under it. It's probably, like that thick. So it's definitely not the factory unit. So that's one thing that's done that I would probably do with one. And I'm looking at this from the standpoint of if this car was completely stock, all the money that I don't have to spend on it, for parts and everything that are already on it now. And you probably saw this in the other video. It does have an expansion tank for the radiator and the supercharger coolant. What I'm probably going to do with these down the road, may not even be this year. I just want to get this car out when the weather gets nice and just drive it and enjoy it. Probably this will be something that I do late next fall when the weather's still okay, but it's kind of too cold to drive the car around. I want to pull both of these off and get them powder coated black so it matches the engine bay a little bit better. I'm not big on chrome and shiny stuff. I like the blacked out flat look and all that stuff. So those will get done later on this year. From what I can tell, it does have a stock radiator. Can't really see it too well from here, but it's not very thick. Compared to my other one that did have an upgraded radiator, it had quite a bit more thickness to it. So I'm pretty sure it's a stock radiator with a aftermarket heat exchanger on it. It does have a nice Optima blue top battery, and I noticed too that when I went to look at this car, it had a 3G wire kit hooked up to it. You can see the fuse relay down here. And I was looking at the alternator, and you probably can't see it too well in the video, but I asked the owner that at the time that I was buying it from if it had a upgraded alternator. He said he didn't believe it did. But when I talked to one of the other previous owners, they said it's a KMJ on there, which would make sense with a 3G wire kit on it. So it already has a KMJ alternator. Hopefully, when I get the car up in the air at some point and I can get under it, I'll get a better look at it. But it's really hard to tell from the top what alternator it actually is. And moving along, it does have a smaller pulley on it. I believe it's a 2.8. I'm not positive. It could be a 2.7. I really have to get a good measurement on it, but it's either a 2.7 or a 2.8. And it does have idlers on it. I'm not sure which brand these are. These aren't the billet flow ones that I had before, and I don't believe they're Metco either, so I'm not sure which brand those are, but it does have aftermarket idlers, which is one thing that would definitely change on any Cobra with their age that they're at now. If it still has the stock idlers on it and it's something that you want to drive around, they will blow up on you eventually, so you're better off just to put an aftermarket set in and just be done with it. And it's really hard to see. Actually, let me get a flashlight. Hold on one second.
A few moments later.
All right, you can probably see down there a little bit better now. As you can see, that is not a cage lower crank pulley. I did measure it this morning. It came out to like 8.5 inches from what I could tell. It was really hard to get a measurement down there and see what it was reading. Anyone that has any of these cars know that it's really, really tight trying to get down in there. Everything is just so cramped. But I believe it's a 4-pound lower. So I have a 2.6 or a 2.8 pulley with a 4-pound lower. And as you guys saw in the first video, it does have the JLT painted intake, which I like a lot. And it does have caster camber plates. These are QA1s. It's printed on the other one over here. If you'll be able to, if it'll show up on camera or not, but. So it does have caster camber plates on it. And another thing I'll need the flashlight for, you may be wondering, why did I not know about all this stuff? When I saw the ad for this car, the only thing that it was listed was the two things I'm going to show you next. Everything else that I'm showing you in this video, I either saw in the pictures, like the coolant tanks, or I found out when I went to look at the car. So there's a lot more stuff on this car than what I thought on the ad. Before I get to the, surprise thing, it does have a clutch quadrant back there, adjustable clutch quadrant. It is a double hook quadrant. I went up underneath the dash and looked, and there is a double hook quadrant under there, so I can adjust the clutch and everything. Now, what I was getting to before, you look down there, hopefully it will focus, but it has a set of Kooks headers on it, which really, really surprised me. And the other thing that was in the ad was a ported Eden. I tried to find out from one of the previous owners before the guy I bought it from how much it was ported. They said it was a stage 3 port. So the only thing in the ad for this car was Kooks long tube headers, a ported blower, 276 pulley, and a Mix 500. That was it. So everything that I'm showing you and that I'll show you later on in the video is all stuff that I found out when I went down there to look at the car, or I found out from the previous owner, previous from the guy that I bought it from. One thing I do want to do is I'm going to pull off this JLT intake at some point and see if that throttle body is ported, and if I can look up in there and see if the elbow has been ported. Stage 3 port really means nothing now because it all depends on who did it and when it was done. You look at like Stegmeyer blowers now, they're at stage 7, and it's just what they call the port. I'm not sure if it means what relation it is to other ports that they've done, but there is not a Stegmeyer stamp on it. So I don't know if it was done by someone else, a home job, I'm not sure. Anyway, I'll find out when it goes on the dyno what it puts down for power. Also, and I'll show you down here, the long tube's down underneath it. And that goes into it's really hard to see because the car is so stupid low. It does have a Kooks X-pipe on it. No cats, which I'll probably put cats on it. I don't know if you saw under there or not. I'll get back under there and show you, but I'm old and things hurt, so I don't want to get back down there again. But it does have subframe connectors on it. I believe they're Maximum Motorsports. Are really hard to tell, but they are welded in. So it's got subframe connectors on it. And we'll go to the interior. Oh, and I want your guys' opinion too. This isn't factory. It says Cobra on the headrests. Does it look tacky? Is it cool? Do you guys like it? I'm kind of torn between keeping them or getting regular headrests. They're kind of growing on me a little bit, but I'm still not quite sure. So I guess we'll see in time. As far as on the inside, we have an MGW shifter. That's what I was told from one of the previous owners. And when I mention the term previous owner, I'm talking about someone that I've been in contact with that had the car before the guy that I bought it from. The guy I bought it from didn't really seem to know a whole lot of the car's history or what was done to it because he didn't list a whole lot in the ad. It does have an SCT X4 tuner that came with it. That's, $400 right there that I don't have to spend on a tuner. And I did hook this up, and it, shows all the gauges and everything. It works fine. As far as what this is connected to, as far as I know, it's still the T56 transmission. I was really hoping that maybe someone snuck a Magnum in here at some point, but I don't think there is a Magnum. I did pick up a new oil filter. I'll do an oil change on it at some point, but it's not imperative for right now. As I said before in the first video, it has authentic Celine wheels on it. And I heard from a lot of people that the chrome plating on these was garbage, and I don't doubt that at all. I'll go around and show you guys each wheel. There is some peeling. You can kind of see it in there. Let me get my light again. There's some peeling in there that you can see, but it's not outside on the face here, which is what I really care about. So if it peels in the barrel, I'm fine with that, I guess. But if these wheels ever get really bad, because you don't see these wheels very often, I'll just get them recoated. I know it's expensive, but so is buying another set of wheels. And I like having a set of wheels that not many other people have. Granted, these are on all the Celine Mustangs, but as far as seeing these on a Cobra, and I'm not trying to knock CCWs or people that have them, they're absolutely beautiful wheels, very good quality, they look amazing, but I don't want to be another Cobra with CCWs on it. I mean, a lot of people have them, and I just like being different. You're blocking my video, Apollo. This is the front driver's side wheel. Still looks really good. No huge, peeling or pitting on the wheel. And I'll get the two on the other side as well. I haven't cleaned these up at all, so they kind of look really dirty, but I would say for the most part, these are in really, really good shape as far as the chrome or anything like that. I mean, maybe I just got really lucky, or maybe I'm just stupid and they're trash and I don't know it, but from what I can tell, they look pretty damn good to me. And I think they'll look even better once I have time to pull them off the car and really clean them up more. And before I did this video, I also, not a big deal, but I put some Celine valve stems on it. It just had crappy, regular black valve stems, ones that didn't even match the other ones, and one of them didn't even have a valve stem cover for it, so. There's a shot of these subframe connectors there. I'll probably spray some paint on there too, just to cover up the exposed parts. But you can see it up underneath this car, really clean. No rust, no issues, none of that. So definitely happy with that. As far as the clutch goes, I was told it has an RTX clutch in it, which would make sense because of the quadrant and the adjustable clutch cable. So it does have Coney yellow shocks on the front. Those are the same ones that I put on my last Terminator. In the back, they're still the Bilsteins. I'm not sure which ones they are, if they've been replaced or anything like that, but they are Bilsteins on the back. As far as the exhaust on the car, it has Bassani exhaust. You probably saw or heard from the beginning of the video that it's not extremely loud, which I like. It does sound really good, but it's not really, really loud. I don't want a real loud car again. The Boiler Stingers on the last one, while it sounds amazing, it was just at that point of just being too much. And I just, being a little bit more quiet will definitely be nice. Also, I found this out when I went down to look at it. The fenders are rolled. I checked that when I went to look at it. So it's got a nice rolled fender, so I can put a fatter tire on there. Or if I, ever went with a wider wheel, which I don't, because, if these are 18 by 10s, I can put a 305, 350. Well, maybe not a 315, but I'll do a 305. So if I want to put fatter tires on there, I can. Like I said in the other video, these are 295s, and they're the Continental Extreme Contact DW. So they have a double A traction rating. So they should hold pretty well with this power level. But if, after I get a dyno tune and start driving the car a little bit harder and stuff like that, then if they're not holding, I'll go and, pick something else up. Now, another thing is, I don't know if you can see inside the housing, but there's all LED lights all through the car. I don't know if you saw in the, maybe that's why. I was going to say, if you saw in the video when I took delivery of the car, this LED is out, but it looks like it may be unplugged, which would be an easy fix. But it has all LEDs on the back, and the headlights and the fog lights have LEDs too, so there's LEDs all through it. And the other owner that I spoke with, they sent me a whole mod list, and I'll throw the mod list up, picture of it, a screenshot. They said it has GT supercar pumps in it, which is huge because, you know, even though my plans with the car really aren't to throw a ton of friggin' power at it, man, the thing is set up for it, but I really still don't want to. But knowing that I don't have to do a lot of shit like I did with the last one, that's really beneficial. And the other thing too, which was kind of a surprise to me, they mentioned that the car might have an FTBR kit. Now I'll throw up a picture from when I got up underneath the car the other day, and I looked up on the subframe on the IRS, and there's white bushings in there, which would indicate that it's an FTBR kit. Because if you look on the FTBR site, all their bushings and everything, they're all the white bushings. So I believe it actually does have an FTBR kit. That's something else I'll have to confirm when I get the car up in the air, and I can really, you know, look at things a lot better than trying to crawl up underneath it. Another thing that I noticed, it'll be really hard to show you guys, so I'll just take my word for it, but it does have an Eibach front sway bar on it. I noticed that when the guy I bought it from did a live video chat with me, and I noticed the red strut, the red sway bar. So, I mean, with the subframe connectors, the bigger sway bar on the front, the suspension that's done on it, it's probably going to handle quite well compared to my other one, at least the last time I drove it. So that's definitely a real positive, you know, point of this. So I think that pretty much covers all of it. I don't think I forgot anything on my list. If I did, I'll throw like a text, you know, on the screen at the end of the video, but I'll have to do a total adding up of all the parts. If I have time, I'll do it for this video and do like a breakdown of everything and, you know, all the total costs of everything on here. But one thing to keep in mind is I have to go by today's prices. When all this stuff was put on, it was probably, you know, a lot cheaper as far as parts go, but parts have gone up a lot in price. And to do all this stuff now that's done to the car, I'm probably looking at $10,000 plus to do all this stuff. And things like long tubes, I've done long tubes before. I'm a 94 Cobra when I had that years ago, long before I ever did any YouTube videos, and I'll never do it again. It's absolutely freaking horrible. So to do long tubes on a car, you know, you're looking at the expense of the shop, you know, shop fees of getting that done too. And I'm trying to avoid this car going into the shop for any kind of stuff. The only thing that I might possibly take it in for is I mentioned that I want to put cats on it. So I might bring it in someplace that can just drop the exhaust, cut out a section of the mid pipe, put in the cats, weld it back together, and, you know, throw the exhaust back on. You know, I could do this here, but I don't have any way to, you know, do really good clean cuts, and I don't have a welder. So I'd rather have someone else do it that's, you know, a lot more proficient at it than what I would do. So that's pretty much the mod list. Let me know what you guys think. I think there's a lot of really, really good parts on this car. And as far as what are my plans with the car, I'm going to do a different video for that. I know this one may be a little bit longer than what I wanted it to be, but I'll sit down and do a breakdown of everything that I want to do to this car, what's not already done, or what I want to change or improve on a little bit. But that'll be for another video down the road. If you guys made it this far of the video, make sure to leave it a like. I greatly appreciate it. But above all else, thanks for watching.